So here's another graph to consider regarding our school utilization. You can see that our elementary schools are packed at about 89% across our district. Now there's differences in our 100 schools. Some are above that, some are below that. But the other interesting piece of information is there's 239 portables at our elementary schools. On this graph, you can see that at our middle schools, they are loaded at 71%. Again, some a little bit more, some a little bit less, but we only have to utilize 7 portables, 5 of those on one site to manage students in our middle schools. Now this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Our middle schools were built in a time where there were 3 grades in there, 7th, 8th, and 9th. When the 9th graders moved out, we didn't make the adjustment to move the 6th graders in. 75% of the schools across the United States in middle schools do have middle school 6th graders. This graph illustrates that we have seats in our middle schools and we have students in portables in our elementary schools. We believe that doing something different with grade configurations would be beneficial on a couple of fronts. First of all, it might give us more room for full-day kindergarten or additional preschool space at the elementary schools. It would lead to greater efficiency in use of our facilities and increased safety and security as we move students out of portables and into buildings. It would also give us room to grow as necessary as our neighborhoods turn over in our elementary schools. And from an educational standpoint, we believe that there are several positives. We will never get away from the use of portables, as they make sense when you're trying to temporarily manage growth, but we believe that they should not be the solution to permanent facility needs. In the area of moving towards a 6-8 middle school configuration, we believe that there are several quality opportunities for students. First of all, enhanced opportunities in the areas of academic, enrichment, and individual support. We believe there's an opportunity for increased parent and community engagement at a middle school as a result of kids being there for 3 years as opposed to 2. We've had demonstrated success in Jeffco schools as well as nationally using a middle school model. We believe this is an efficient use of our existing facilities, and we know that this minimizes the cost to meet our growing facilities needs. On June 14th, we presented a plan to the Board of Education on how we might migrate to a 6-8 configuration. One of the things that we heard during the time we were out on our listening tour was that people were concerned about how quickly this could happen. As you can see from this plan, our goal would be to make this a 2-year process to make sure that our students and staff and parents are prepared to make this move. This graphic shows the age of our schools. As you can see, 2/3 of our schools are between 29 and 68 years of age. We have significant deferred maintenance needs. The average age of a school in Jeffco is 40 years old. Our schools have served our community well, but many of the heating and cooling systems, the boilers, and plumbing are out of date and inefficient. We could recoup hundreds of thousands of dollars in utility bills in upgrading to more efficient systems. This slide illustrates our current real estate portfolio. I would draw your attention to the 6th bullet down that talks about the total deficiencies in our school district at about $520 million. That includes building condition related, things like heaters and boilers, at $396.6 million, and educational adequacy related, which I'll talk about in a few moments, at $123.4 million. Average age is 40 years, median age is 44 years. In January of 2016, the Board of Education asked us to put together a facilities master plan for the future that reflected maximum efficiency, or facilities solutions. That first draft then went to our educational side of the house and was further refined using the lens of, does this potential plan make sense for teachers and learners in our buildings? In April, the plan was presented to the Board of Education and they sent it out for taxpayer and community input. We are very proud of the tremendous amount of work that the Cabinet and Board did to gather community input in the initial plan. We presented, we listened, and we folded all of that feedback into the final options presented to the Board on June 14th. The Board weighed all of the input and made modifications to reflect that feedback. So now let me tell you a little bit more about the plan. There are 4 facility master plan drivers. The first would be providing exceptional 21st century learning environments for our students. The second would be making sure that we're maximizing our facilities. Thirdly, we want to leverage our current financial resources. And finally, this plan needs to recognize the individuality as well as the interdependence of all Jeffco schools. The district-wide plan was conceived to address the following issues. First of all, enrollment trends in our articulation areas, school boundaries, and individual schools. we wanted to make sure we were efficiently utilizing our buildings. Facilities equity between schools and compliance with district ed specs, deferred maintenance needs, and need for new buildings, additions, renovations, consolidations, and closures were all on our mind as this plan was conceived. On June 16th, the Board of Education provided us some very specific direction. First of all, the Board of Education approved moving toward a K-5-6-8 elementary and middle school model across our district. We heard that loud and clear in the feedback that was provided by our community, that if we were going to move one school, we should move all of them to provide those opportunities to all of our students. Secondly, the Board of Education approved the proposed facilities master plan as amended during the June 14th meeting. This document can be found on our district website. Thirdly, the Board of Education acknowledged its intent to authorize a bond issue for November of 2016 in an amount not to exceed $535 million, which will be discussed further in August and September. And finally, the Board of Education acknowledged its intent to authorize a mill levy override question in the November ballot in the amount not to exceed $33 million, which will be discussed again further in August or September.